TV5 News Feed, the Atlanta news team with Ken Roberts and Sharon Summers. Superstar Sports with Bill Hartman. Pam Martin with Color Radar Weather. Here's Ken Roberts.
Good evening. Sharon Summers has the night off. John Weatherford is taking her place. President Carter continued his Mideast peace shuttle today, speaking to the Egyptian cabinet this morning and arriving in Tel Aviv for talks with Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin this afternoon. Carter said that his talks with Sadat strengthened his belief that peace can be achieved soon.
I have good reason to hope that the goal can now be reached. But of course, the ultimate choice lies where those choices have always lain, with the chosen representatives of the people who have suffered directly from so many years of destruction and bloodshed. I look forward to completing the urgent business at hand on this brief visit.
This morning, Carter spoke to the Egyptian parliament in Cairo. He said that he has a commitment from both countries that the proposed treaty will be linked to a comprehensive Mideast settlement, a settlement that would include the Palestinian nation.
Of a comprehensive peace. I pledge to you today that I also remain personally committed to move on to negotiations concerning the West Bank and the Gaza Strip and other issues of concern to the Palestinians, and to future negotiations and also to future negotiations between Israel and all her neighbors.
On the other side of the coin, Carter said he understood the position of Egyptian President Anwar Sadat.
I fully share and will support President Sadat's belief that stability must be maintained in this part of the world, even while constructive change is actively encouraged. He and I recognize that the security of this vital region is being challenged. I applaud his determination to meet that challenge, and my government will stand with him.
On his ride from Ben Gurion Airport to Jerusalem, hundreds of demonstrators lined the route. They were demonstrating both for and against his peace mediation, but those who were shouting "Carter, go home" were most prominent. Conflicting reports come from East Africa tonight on the situation in Uganda. Now, some sources say Tanzanian invaders and Ugandan rebels are steadily advancing on the capital of Kampala. But Ugandan President Idi Amin claims that the forces intending to end his rule have been turned back now by Ugandan army units. Reporters have been barred from the front, so there is no independent confirmation of either claim. Hundreds of Mexican demonstrators tore down American flags over international bridges crossing the border between El Paso, Texas and Juarez, Mexico today. The protesters are angry over the decision to deport about 150 Mexicans who crossed the border into the United States illegally yesterday. Many of those deported Mexicans were domestic workers who had not been paid. John?
The Georgia General Assembly will reconvene Monday after a week's recess, but they still are facing the biggest money issues of the year. A Senate committee met at the Capitol today in hopes of agreeing on its version of the state's $2.7 billion budget. At stake are some of the year's most controversial issues, including teacher pay and welfare. The House has recommended giving the 50,000 teachers 9% pay raises, but that would break the 7% barrier of President Carter's anti-inflation program. The senators must decide whether to increase the welfare benefits beyond the 7.7% recommended by the House. Senator Herman Talmadge says he's sympathetic with President Carter's attempts to reduce federal spending, but not at the expense of more than 1 million children who may be bumped from the National School Lunch Program by budget cutbacks. The changes proposed by the Carter administration would provide a 5-cent reduction in the federal reimbursement for paid school lunches and for more stringent controls on family income requirements for children who qualify for free or reduced price lunches. Talmadge says as many as 59,000 Georgia students could be driven from that program. The federal government has run out of money. Sometime this weekend, no one knows exactly when, the government reached its legal limit of $798 billion. Technically, no more money can be spent until Congress votes to increase the debt ceiling. TV5's Washington correspondent Norm Wagey has this report.
It's a congressional rite of spring. Each year, the federal government spends up to its legal debt limit. Congress gets a bill to increase the ceiling. First, it rejects it. Then, because it must, approves it. Last week, the first vote was 194 to 222. Eventually, that outcome will be reversed. Some, mainly Democrats, call this a political charade. Some, mainly Republicans, say it is a crusade for fiscal responsibility. Both sides have their points. One Republican reports that an $800 billion public debt means an $11,000 debit for every tax-paying family. And of the income tax your family pays this April, $842 will go to pay only the interest on the national debt, a debt that increases by $134,000 a minute. It's staggering. Democrats say Congress must be willing to pay for the bills it authorizes. Voting for big expenditures in the fall leads to a day of reckoning in the spring. 6 Georgia Democrats voted to increase the debt ceiling. Levitas, Mathis, McDonald, and Republican freshman Gingrich voted against. The debt ceiling issue will come before the House again on Thursday. At the Capitol in Washington, Norm Wagey, TV5 News Scene.
The Atlanta Flames are back in action again tonight, and Sports Director Bill Hartman will have highlights, scores, and more. It's all coming next when News Scene checks the sports scene. Flames look like they were red hot tonight at the
I'll tell you, they're going to the playoffs, no doubt. Flames and Sabres down at the Omni. We ended up a 5-5 tie. We've got highlights for you, starting out with the Atlanta goal that opened the scoring in the first period. It was picture book. Now watch it. Fox, Chouinard, and McMillan, 3-on-1 fast break. This is how the coaches draw it up on the blackboard. Chouinard does the honors, scores his 38th goal of the season. He's only one off the Flame record held by Mr. Eric Vale. Eric did that back in the 74-75 season. Sabres got him a power play and worked on Dan Bouchard. He did a heck of a job stopping this one as Buffalo players hacked away at his pads. Got a little help from his friends. But still in the power play, another one went through. Watch it as it'll go through, hit the post, bounce out, but then it comes back off the stick of Rick Martin, and it ties the score at 1-1. Pronovo, Lysiak, Lawrence, and McMillan got the other Atlanta goals. It ends in a 5-5 tie. Other scores: Rangers beat Montreal 6-3, Islanders over Chicago 7-1, Boston beat Minnesota 4-3, Pittsburgh over Philadelphia 3-2, Toronto beat Los Angeles 9-4, Colorado 3, Vancouver 1, and it was Washington 7, St. Louis 5. It was championship night in Georgia high school basketball down at the Tech Dome. Decula beat Wheeler County to win the state championship 47-45. Got a highlights of that one for you. Starts off with Doug Mahaffey of Decula scoring a basket for the white-shirted Decula team. They have a good history of basketball in Decula. Had not won the state championship in quite some time, but they did tonight by 2 points. Here's Sandy Ramey getting the bucket for Decula. Last night, Decula beat Metter to get into the finals, and they took advantage of it once they got there. There you see the score in the upper left-hand corner. Decula 47, Wheeler County 45. Here are the champions in Class Quad A. Boys, Southwest Macon 69, Northeast Macon 60. Girls, Lowndes County 57, Baldwin 41. Southwest Atlanta won the AAA Boys Championship 69-68 over Upson County. Girls, it was Berrien County, the champs, over Madison County 68-47. Class AA, Arnold beat Mitchell County 83-81. East Hall won